the new FICO 10 scoring model will take into consideration your credit utilization for 24 months back. So Amber, what do I mean by that?
2 years.
No, right, that's exactly what I mean by 24 months. I mean 2 years. But how does that impact? So as you guys know, credit utilization used to be a snapshot in time. If a person pulled your credit report and they saw that you had a 75% utilization right then your credit utilization would be too high. But if tomorrow they took a snapshot of your credit report and it was at 25%, then your score would go up. So your score would fluctuate up and down depending on your credit utilization. Well, now the new FICO 10 scoring model is going to look at your average utilization over the last 2 years. So Abby, that means you could, on June 1st of this year, you could have a 9% utilization, which means you should have a pretty high credit score as far as that factor is concerned, right?
Correct.
However, if they go back 24 months and average it out and your credit utilization was 49%, then that's what's going to show up, and that's going to be what determines your score, which means you could lose 20 points or gain 20 points depending on how you manage credit utilization. So just be aware of that. That's not what we're talking about today, but I just wanted to bring those two laws up because those two things are causing some confusion, and two, people to be concerned. But today we're going to talk about the credit mix, and in the credit mix, this is the part of the credit components that usually gets people a little jammed up because they're not sure. So people say, I've not made any late payments. Credit utilization is 9%. My credit age is 8 years. I've got no collections. I've got no charge-offs, but my credit score I still can't get my credit score above 660, 670. Typically it's because of the credit mix. So let's talk about the credit mix. If you could do me a favor and just shoot me a, so the credit mix is, I put in some, I didn't mean to do that. Put in some motion in here. So the credit mix just means the categories of credit. There are 3 types, and we're going to go through those 3 types. We're going to give me a All right. The first type of credit, the first category of credit is called installment credit. Installment credit means you pay the same amount every month, no matter what the interest rate is, and no matter how much you use. A good example of an installment account would be your mortgage. That's the best example. Car loan, student loan, personal loan, anything that you pay the same amount every month, no matter what the interest rate is. Now, in installment credit, you want to have at least 2 installment accounts. This is where the challenge is, and I'm going to come back to this at the end of the categories. But you should have at least 2 installment accounts on your credit report always. The best are listed here in order of importance. The one that's going to impact you the greatest is, of course, a mortgage. So those of you guys who are renting, we encourage you to go out and get a mortgage. If you're renting and you're wondering why you can't get up over 660, 670, it's because mortgages weigh really, really heavily on credit reports. Typically, a person with a 780 or better is going to have some type of mortgage on their credit report, or have some type of mortgage have been on their credit report and paid down. Okay, so get yourself a house. Right, it's the best way to pass on wealth. It's one of the ways. Over 40% of the wealth in this country was gained from people leveraging their homes. So move into mortgages, and we have a great real estate agent here that can help you do that. And does mortgage. Right? The second is going to be a car loan. And again, I'm going to talk more about that. I'm going to talk about something in a little while pertaining to car loans. But mortgages, then car loans, then personal loans. Student loans are equal to personal loans. They weigh the same amount as student loans and personal. So installment account have at least 2, and in order of importance, go there. All right. All right. The next category. Neither one of these categories is more important than the other. They are simply the categories that you want to be concerned with. The next category is revolving credit. Revolving credit means you pay a different amount depending on the amount that you use and the interest rate. You guys all know that, credit cards. Credit card specific, right? And you should have at least 3 of those. Here's some examples here. Now, typically I don't endorse, but in order for us to have an impactful example, I gave you some names of some credit cards. We always suggest, when I say we, my company, always suggests that you have a MasterCard or Visa card. Those can be used interchangeably. You have at least 1 store card and then 1 fuel card. At least. You can have as many as you like, but at least those 3. Right? Third and final category, and this is where people get jammed the most. This is where people get jammed the most because 1, they don't understand what this category is. And 2, Rashana, they don't have the credit that supports them having accounts in this category. Open credit means it's the same as revolving credit with regard to pay. You pay a different amount depending on usage and interest rate. However, you must pay the entire amount at the end of a specified period. You may have heard open accounts called charge cards. Now, when you go to apply for credit, you can apply for a credit card or a charge card. They are different. A credit card means you can pay a minimum amount as long as you want, right? A charge card, you can charge whatever you want, but they're going to require that you pay the entire amount at the end of a specified period. Now, there are some hybrid charge cards where they will give you a limit and it's revolving, but the rest of the amount is part of the charge card. And the two most popular are, of course, American Express and Discovery. You will know it's a charge card, or you will know that it is an open account because it usually comes with a no preset limit. Yes.
So with the other examples you mentioned, or you recommended how many you should have of those accounts?
Yeah.
How many should you recommend that we have as the open account?
So you should have 2 of these, and I'm going to go through that in a second. That was on the other screen, but I'm going to go through that in a second. So you should have 2 of these accounts, right? It would be great for you to have an American Express card and a Discover card. Now, the thing about the open accounts, and let's go to the next slide because this is where I'm going to go back over. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right, this is where I'm going to go back over some of the things that we talked about. So, first things first about those accounts is do not close any accounts. And I'm going to show you something clever about installment accounts. Do not close any accounts. And you want to have a 2-3-2 relationship, at minimum, a 2-3-2 relationship with installment, revolving, open. 2 installment accounts, 3 revolving accounts, 2 open accounts. Now, on installment accounts, so what happens when you come to the end of your car loan? Right? You've got a 36-month car loan. You've got 3 more months left to pay on this car loan. Right? Let's say that amounts to $1,200. Right? You're paying $400 a month. Let's carry you 1. Right? That means you've got $1,200 left to pay. Here's the deal. What's going to happen to you if you pay that $1,200, because you want to get out of debt, right? So Rashana, you'd say, I'm going to go ahead and just pay that $1,200 all paid off early. Great. 2 things are going to happen. 1, your credit age is going to go down. We talked about that. But 2, you're going to lose, if you only have 2 of these accounts, you're going to lose that one when you close that loan, right? So that means your credit age is going to go down and your credit mix is going to take a hit, right? That could give you about a 30-point loss in your credit. So, Rashana, how you fix that is go into another car loan. 1 of 2 ways. You can either get another car, right? Or you can refinance that last 3 months on that car. You can either do that via personal loan or ask the company that you're already financing with, hey, I want to refinance this $1,200 for 60 months. Now you've paid 33 months, you've paid on time, they are going to gladly oblige you. Oh, you want to do 60 months of this $1,200? Absolutely, right? Now they may have to ask somebody to come in because that doesn't happen very often. So to be able to handle the mechanics of that, they may have to call them a specialist, but you can ask them first. But always refinance your installment debt if you can, because you want to have at least 2 of those on your credit report. Now, those of you guys who have student, none of you guys, because I know you're independently wealthy, but for those in the audience online who have student loans, your student loan is gonna be on your credit report for the rest of your life, so at least you're gonna have one. Right, but refinance the other. Get installment accounts first. Get your installment accounts first. So if you're looking at establishing or rebuilding your personal credit, start with the credit mix, start with the installment accounts first, make sure you have those in effect. And there are several, again, I try not to endorse, but there are several credit building installment accounts that you can get. Search online for them or call a company, good company, that can help you manage your credit, and they will give you access to those credit builder accounts. But make sure you get the installment accounts first, put those two in line, then get your revolving accounts. In your revolving accounts, increase your limits every 6 months. They will do that without a hard credit pull, and they will do it without a hard credit pull. So increase the limits every 6 months, and please use your credit cards. Please use your credit cards, because if you don't, the company may close the account or they may reduce the limit. But if they close the account, again, we're in the same space that we were in what I just talked about. So please use your revolving accounts regularly, charge gas on them, groceries or whatever, pay them all, but make sure you're using them regularly. And then your open accounts, get them third. Your score, when you're applying for an American Express and or Discover card, you need to have at least a 680. At least a 680. I would prefer you have a 720 because it'll give you a greater chance for approval for those two cards, but at least a 680. And your income is important. If you are not listing all of your income, and if you're getting income from several sources, please, when you're putting in the application, don't ignore if you drive for Lyft every once in a while, don't ignore that income. If you are selling real estate, but you're also in construction or contracting, I'm not saying anything, but if count all of that income when you're putting in the application, because your income and your scores are going to impact whether they approve you or not. In the open account, when you get those no preset limits, the hybrid of that is sometimes you'll see American Express does this specifically where they will give you a revolving limit and then a no preset limit above that revolving limit. So they may give you a limit of $5,000, meaning you can charge $5,000 and then Shivani, you can pay a minimum payment and they'll tell you what that minimum payment is. And then they have this little game thing they play online where there's a little box that says, check your spending power. So you can go in and you can see how much you can charge. So, and it may say you can spend $25,000. I don't like the way they do the game, but it's their game, not mine. So, but they'll ask you, you can spend up to $25,000. So the first $5,000 of that will be revolving, where you can pay a minimum payment. But the other $20,000, if you used all $25,000 of it, then that $20,000 is going to be due at the end of a specified period. Typically on the American Express, it's 60 days. So you're going to have to pay that entire amount in 60 days. The other $5,000 you can let ride. Okay, that's credit mix. Very simple, but very important. Any questions about anything? I told you this was going to be a quick one, quick hit, quick but impact. Yes.
Right.
One day. On open accounts or revolving accounts? Okay. It really wouldn't even matter whether it was open or revolving. But you asked the question about open accounts. I'm just going to repeat the question for people who might not have heard. So the question was, if you are late on an open account payment by 1 day, now when you say 1 day, you mean the due date? So typically on credit cards and charge cards, there's a grace period, so there is no penalty. If you're talking about your due date was on the 5th, you paid on the 6th. Is that the example? All right. Typically, there's a grace period, and your credit card company, charge card company will tell you what that is. They typically give you 5 to 10 days of grace. After that, they're going to charge you a late fee. If it's 30 days or more, then that's when it's gonna impact your credit. 1 day late will not impact your credit. 1 day late won't even impact your pocket. 30 days or 31 days late gonna impact your pocket and your credit. So don't be late. But if you're late, if you think you're gonna be late, if you anticipate something has happened and your money got jammed up, call the company before the due date and ask them to give you grace on this. I anticipate that my May payment is going to be 30 days late. I'm asking for grace. Please do not report it to the business credit bureaus. I'm going to pay you in June for May's payment, but I'm asking you not to put it on my credit report. This is what happened. A lot of times they will work with you, particularly if you've had the card for quite some time, 5 years or more. They will typically work with you. And if you've never made a late payment or you've only had one, they'll usually give you grace. That was a long explanation for a short question. Any other questions, concerns, issues, commentary? So.
So, for, Parliament, you said that we have to have some. So, what if we want to like this one question? Would we be able to discuss like the finance? Saying, so it's like, how much you have to pay for all this based on.
So the income was on the open accounts. That was the charge cards, American Express and Discover, right? And you're asking, does it have to be income or is it money that you have saved? It has to be income because they need to be able to see that you're consistently bringing money in. Because savings can go away, but money that you're bringing in it's less risky. It doesn't come with no risk, but it's less risky. So the banks want to see that you have a consistent income, and the higher that consistent income, the better chance you have to get approved for those charge cards. But a lot of times people have jobs and then they do side jobs, and then because those side jobs may pay them $300 a month max, they don't count it as income, but count it as income because, and even if that income is sporadic, let's say you did tax record, I don't know, right? And you got paid 300 this month, next month you got 100, next month you did nothing, the next month you got 50. Average that out over 12 months and put that as income. Don't ignore that because the higher your income or the higher the number you put there, the more likely you are to be approved. So
I have a statement, several statements. So that happened to me with the car loan, my first car loan, paid it off. Then I was happy. I was skipping about. I was like, yeah, I've had this car loan for, I paid it off years ago. So I went to get another car loan and they were like, no, it's not on here, so it came off. Then my husband and I, we paid off a car loan early thinking we're gonna alleviate the debt. Went to get another car, it was like, oh, we don't like that. We don't like when you pay off the car loan. So learned that the hard way, didn't know we could refinance it to extend it to credit. And then, secondly, my question is, so if you're using your business income, would you use your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, or your income tax to try and deport?
income statement and revenue, not net profit,
Okay,
revenue,
okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. Your company's revenue is
So the
your
total balance sheet, not the profit and loss.
the balance sheet,
Okay.
the top line, I mean, not the balance sheet, the income, P&L.
Okay, the profit and loss, the
Yeah,
total.
Same thing, P&L, income statement, interchange, right?
Okay,
The top line on your income statement or P&L is what you're gonna put. So if your business, so on the P&L, it's gonna be income, and then it's gonna be expenses, operating expenses, and then the wash is net income, right? Don't put the net income, that's the bottom line, put the top line. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Your gross. Yeah, absolutely. And same thing if you're working as an employee, put your gross, not your net. Okay. Not your bring home. Okay? Well, the car loans are notorious for closing out the account. But the thing about people is, people are talking about living this debt-free life. The people that are talking about living a debt-free life don't live a debt-free life. So don't live a debt-free life. Have debt, because on the personal side. But that's why we're having this conversation about personal credit today, but we're gonna move into business credit in some subsequent months. And I would like to move you guys off of the personal credit, because in business credit, this is much easier to manage and much more powerful.
And just to, clarify, when you say have that, you're saying have that, but, utilize that wisely.
Manage debt, don't not have debt.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, particularly in the African American communities, I'm gonna say this again, but there are a lot of programs out there that come to the African American community and preach living a debt-free lifestyle. And historically, our relationship to debt has been a tumultuous one. But wealthy people don't live debt-free lifestyle. They always carry debt on the personal side because of these issues. So make sure you are carrying some kind of debt if you're using personal credit. If you move into business credit, then you can live a debt-free lifestyle on the business side. But on the personal side, always carry 2, 3, 2, always. Just manage it very well. Okay, you guys, everybody? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So can you move me back? Keep up. Yes, the question is, can I explain the 2-3-2 relationship? One more. So there are 3 categories. This is the first of which, installment. You want to have 2 accounts here. So mortgage, car loan, personal loan, student loans. You want to have at least 2. Then you need one stop. Revolving, you want to have 3, at least 3. 3 credit cards. Visa, MasterCard, Sunoco card, Macy's, Kohl's, whatever. 3 of those, and then 1 more. And then open accounts, you want to have at least 2 of those. And it's always at least. You can have 50 of each one, but at least 2. At least 2. Okay? Everybody good? Me too. I'm going to take a seat now, and I'm going to let the superstar of the group of 2, we are a group of 2. Take my seat.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
You're absolutely.
That's the hard act to follow. However, we have a credit real estate today. We have these events because one, we want to find some community. But secondly, because we generally care about you. This information is being provided to you, and if you need any additional information, we're available. Get our contact information once we complete the segment. And Kevin, I actually going to ask you to do a favor. I'd like to get your feedback at the conclusion of this event. If you have any questions, suggestions, or things, or comments, we take it all. It will help us to be able to benefit not only you, our viewing audience, those who have not yet joined us. So we want to make sure that we are facilitating everyone as much as we can. In the meantime, I'm waiting for the slides. In the past 4 months, we have talked about credit mix, we talked about inquiries, we talked about buyer relationships, we talked about what's the difference between a realtor, agent. We talked about a lot. So you can go on our YouTube channels, our Facebook channels, things of those sorts. If you have missed any of our segments, you can go there and you can visit those segments, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have 12 of them, right?
Sure.
We'll have 12 of them. So today we're going to talk about, for those of you who are homeowners, and perhaps one day will be a homeowners, as to what you need to do to sell your home. It's supposed to be me there, but you can't quite see me, but we're there. We're here to help you, because we want to help you sell your home. So we picked this subject because many of our viewers in your life, you all have a property, perhaps, and you always hear about people having their stories about what happens when they go to sell real estate. So what I want to invite you all to do just think about your house. If you don't have a house, let's just say you have one. Okay? Let's have a house. We all have a house, okay? And the first thing we want to do is we want to find a reputable and experienced real estate agent. Now, from one of our previous segments, we discussed a difference between a real estate agent and a realtor. Our office are all realtors, all members of the association that allows us to provide you with additional services beyond that of a real estate agent. Once you get a licensed real estate professional, it's so important that you establish a relationship with them that will allow you to be able to fully share. Full. And I say that's important because a seller and a real estate agent, they form what we know as what was one of our words that we had before. Everybody remember stuff with an F? So, what type of relationship is it? Yes. A fiduciary, yes. Oh, that makes me so happy. That means that one of our last classes said, oh, wonderful, a fiduciary relationship. That means that the agent is always obligated to do what's in the best interest for the seller. So after you get your real estate agent, we're going to try to now, for one of our previous segments, we talked about comparables. We talked about finding houses that's very similar to the ones we have. But this is important. Determine that the fair market value of your property is important because we talked about this. Okay, now like I said, a lot of our information for those of you will be like a review, but for those of you who are new, I hope you find it very valuable. Let's just take a moment for a second. For those of us who talked about comparables and finding out value. This is our house. Right? We discussed before that you can have a house, let's just say for illustrative purposes, you want your house to sell for $300,000. What we ask you as a seller to do is to find properties within the past 3 to 6 months, within 1 mile radius, okay, that is similar to yours. So if you have another house here, and this one sold for $320. This one sold for $310. Do you think that's reasonable? That if you're asking $300, it can give the impression that you're giving a good deal, right? I think so.
Sure.
You're asking for $300. This house is bigger. These houses are smaller. They're sold for more, but there's a lot of variables. So just remember, bigger don't always mean more money. Smaller don't always mean less. However, when you work with your real estate agent, the real estate agent is going to use properties in the area to help you ascertain what's a fair market value. So on the surface, $300,000 in this illustration is fair, right? It's fair. So that's what we want to do. So we want to do it for 2 reasons. One, we don't want the buyer, as we discussed last month, don't want a buyer to spend too much. No one likes to spend more or anything. But then you don't want the seller to feel, oh wow, they robbed me, they stole my house. That's a really, you don't want our sellers or our clients to feel that way either, right? So it's a win-win. We're looking for a win-win situation. That's what we're looking for. Okay? So now when we go to our next one, next step is, once we come up with what we consider a price, we might start here. But we might make some recommendations to our sellers to what you need to do to sell a house. Now, all of you have houses, okay? We all have a house, we said that, right? We all have houses. In your house, I want you to I'm gonna go around the room and you just tell me whether you have a house or not. What is in your house? Just tell me, how many rooms is in your house? 3 bedrooms? I like that. Right? Okay, what's in your house?
4 bedrooms.
You got 4-bedroom house. Ooh, I like that. I like that. How about you? Tell me some amenities in your house. What you think? It don't have to be real. Just tell me. Okay, you swimming pool, you said? Oh, and listen, I'm loving that. Swimming pool, what's in your house?
4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and a nice grill.
Oh my goodness, garage, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, okay, we got some outdoor parking. What's in your house?
I'm in a 3-bedroom, finished basement and a garage too, so there you go.
Finished basement and a garage. How, hold on to entertain one more comment, you.
I have 4 bedrooms and each one has an ensuite.
Oh, 4 bedrooms, each one have.
We live in Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, wow. So all of us have these different houses. And let's just say, what you're all telling me, I don't think we all live in different neighborhoods. You know, we don't live near each other. But our houses have very unique circumstances, situations, but in addition of those houses too. So your garage door won't open. Your finished basement has mold.
Had.
Your roof is leaking. There's something going on. Your swimming pool, it cracks the bottom. So maintenance. You will find in our industry that real estate often is a big hype. But when you get to the house, the condition of that real estate is so disappointing. It's because materials cost a lot. To get a roof done, it take $3,000 to $4,000, even $5,000. I know, I've been through it myself. So when you're putting a house on the market, one, your agent may tell you or suggest you to fix something. They might select what things need to be fixed. So you might say, well, you know what, let's start by taking out all the junk. Take out everything in this house that you just know you're not going to use. You know you haven't seen it in so many years. Just get rid of it. And I tell my clients that first. It don't cost you anything to put anything in the trash. So that's the first. Replace. Maybe you got flooring that needs to be fixed, because those are considered tripping hazards, especially for FHA buyers. Okay. You may also need to do something just to make people want to come into the house. You'd be surprised. You walk by a house, you like, I have had it. And I'm sure Rashana has. Buyer says, no, I don't want to go in. It's okay. They're not attracted to the street or to the front of the house. So have some curb appeal. If you can, upgrade your kitchen and your bathroom. Do so. Upgrades don't necessarily mean putting in granite or quartz. It could just be paint. You'd be surprised what a good fresh coat of paint could do for your home. And windows, we don't like to see cracked or broken windows because FHA in particular will require that you fix it. Because anything that where a child would go and lean against the window and cut themselves, that would be a pretty bad thing. So these are just a few other repairs that we might want to hone in on. I do want to caution this part here, selling your home without repairs will likely, what's the word likely? It's not always the case, but it's likely that it can attract more investors and bargain hunters. Someone will walk in the house and say, well, your pool has a crack in it. I know you want $300,000. It's going to probably cost me $20,000 to fix that. I'll offer you $8,000. People will look for ways to find ways to bring the value of your home down. So what can we do? Well, we can look for a reasonable sale price by basing it on the condition of the property ourselves. So we might come in with our list price at $280 because we have a crack in our pool, because our garage doors won't open, because of certain things. We were probably have the price commensurate with the condition of the house. So that if to someone else, the crack in the pool might not be an issue. So they might offer you more because they like the neighborhood. So pricing it fairly and just making sure that it's not overpriced. Because we have a pool does not necessarily, for some, a pool might be, oh my goodness, that's too much money. You know how much it costs to take care of a pool? Every month to clean that thing out. And as a matter of fact, I had a client who went to her house, we went to show her house, beautiful house, all I love them. When we went to the house, there was all these cars parked outside, and I'm saying to myself, why are so many people out here? Oh my goodness, you know, the house is fabulous. Gorgeous house, pristine. Seller took very good care to make sure that the house is in excellent condition. My client and I would get to the backyard, and that's what we saw. We saw a pool. Instantly, she said, this is not the house for me. She said, I'd rather have that whole section filled in where I can have my family and friends entertained. She said, that's a big hole in the ground. We turned around, we walked out, even though it was 20 other people all in that house. So, as a real estate agent, having a conversation with your clients, just know that sell price and list price of properties, they all go up and down, and it's a lot of variables that has to be considered when it comes to putting your house in the market. I will want to make a comment to those on our viewing audience who have houses already. When it comes to selling a property. Our next slide. Staging your home is important. When we're looking at properties, we're in an HGTV generation. Everyone gets ooh and ahs. But staging doesn't necessarily mean having to fill the whole house up with furniture. It just it means that you want to create a warm, inviting space. You want to open the blinds. You want to let natural light in. You want to stick to neutral colors. I did sell a house that the walls were black, and it was very depressing. Had to convince the buyer that they could pay. And you want to also have little things like plants that just makes the house feel like home. One thing that I also like is to put blinds in your house. If you have blinds that's been torn or ripped up by cats and dogs and so forth, take them down and just put some very minimal, they'll have to be expensive, but just decent looking blinds in the house. So staging your home is not one of those things where, like again, for emphasis, because stop thinking staging like you gotta buy all this furniture and have everything set in a certain way, have feng shui and this, that. No. Because the truth of the matter is you're buying a house. You're not buying that furniture. So natural light, let them see that light comes into your house. Let them see, you know, I have properties that I've been to. If you have a pet, please do something about pet odor, pet dander, anything of that sort. Because when you're trying to sell a house, you want to appeal to everyone. There may be those who are allergic to animals, dust, things of that sort. So we're looking to try to sell our properties to a grand audience of people. Don't want to narrow it down. I did have one property. I do remember this property too, over in Delaware County. Walked into the door, put my foot in the door, stepped back out. The scent of the marijuana was so strong that I could have got high off of it. My buyer and I, we turned around, I put the key back in the lockbox, kept going. So certain things, when you're selling your property, you want to create an environment that anyone and everyone want to purchase your home. So that's just types of things that the life of a real estate agent, right? The life of a real estate agent. All right, so now what do we do? Now that you have gotten all these details together, your house is staged, you got your real estate agent, come up with a price, you just done all these different things. Now, these are the type of things you'll see. You'll see a lockbox. A lockbox is a tool that real estate agents use to ensure put keys in to allow real estate professionals to come by and to secure your property. Remember, I said real estate professionals. You are not, I gotta make sure I emphasize this. Real estate agents are not allowed to let their buyers come to your house without them. So if a buyer is saying, can I just go and look at their house by myself, please? Then if you have a real estate agent that tells you that you can do that, fire. Fire. Ah, yeah, I said it. Fire. Because, first of all, when you hire someone to show your property, to sell your property, I have to feel that I know who's going in there, who's coming out. Someone could hurt themselves in your house. And the point of the matter is, there's not, we as agents, we say that we're gonna send pre-approved, pre-qualified buyers to your property, and we will be there with them. So we live in a world today, let's face it, you just can't be letting anybody into your house. So we use these lock boxes and we use great care of these lock boxes. Another method we use is our for sale signs. Now, you know, a lot of you buyers, probably some of you who are our virtual audience, might have been when you was looking for your house. What did you do? You drive up and down the street looking for signs. How else would you know that the house is for sale? You really wouldn't know, right? So your agent is going to want to suggest that you put a sign on your property as well, so that we can let buyers know that the houses are for sale. Do you know that some sellers say, oh, I want a sign in front of my house? Do you know that? No, my neighbors, you use. I don't want them to know to sell my house. Let them know. They're the ones that's gonna sell your house. They're the ones that's going to tell, look, the house next door to me is for sale. Call them, because I want you to move near me. I know you've been wanting to move on this block. It's a house finally on this block for sale. Call them. So you'll see signs like this. So the recommendation is you have a house for sale, put a sign on it. Let it for sale. Not everybody has the resources that real estate agents have to know otherwise. Okay? So we do social media and all of those things. So let's move along, because I know the time, I want to respect your time. Now we're going to negotiate offers and come to an agreement with the buyer. Now, this is important because I get it. We are in a society where people want to speak up for themselves. I can talk for myself. I know what it is I want. I know what I get it. Buyers should never talk to a seller. That's why you have an agent. Always negotiate with the seller through your agent. So you talk to your agent, this is what I want, this is how I feel, this is what I need. Agent goes over, this is what she wants, this is how she feels, this is what she needs. Agent tells, that's how we get the transaction done. Too many deals fall apart when the buyer and seller gets together. Well, forget you. That's what they do. Professionals. Talk it out. Okay, we'll take this back to my client. How about this? I think this is fair. Take that back to your client. And guess what? We sit at the settlement table, we're able to smile and talk to each other, look across from each other, and be like, yes, it was a great transaction. Handshake, hand the keys, and everyone's happy. That's what we want, okay? So after step 7, which is only 9 steps, we're going to complete the necessary paperwork. Okay? We're going to have home inspections. We're going to have appraisals, we're going to have title, we're going to make arrangements to be at our closing, and we're going to do a walkthrough. These are all things that your real estate agent will do. There's a lot of paperwork for selling a house. So if you have a house, just in this part here where it says complete paperwork and prepare for closing, I will say to some of you who are homeowners, might want to consider turning your home into a rental. Might not necessarily want to sell it. It's very possible that while you're going through all this, you come back to this 300,000 and you say to yourself, you know, but the houses in this area are rented $3,000 a month. It might be better that I keep this house, rent this house out, buy another. So
one of the things that's important is don't think that it's necessary that you have to sell your house. If you have a house to sell, great, let's sell it. If you have a house that you want to transition from ownership, as far as instead of you living in it and occupying it, but now you want to rent it out, then you can do that. And use that as income to go towards your next property and move into your single home. So instead of having your 3-bedroom, now you can go to your 4-bedroom or your 5-bedroom house. You know, or instead of going from a house that has a swimming pool, you might want to go to a house that don't have a swimming pool. And instead of going from a house where you have upstairs and downstairs, you might want everything on one floor, like I am right now in my life. I would like that. Everything, one floor. Okay, so complete the paperwork is essential, but what we want everyone to realize is that a lot of things can change. It's fluid as you're going through this process. Okay. And our last step is to close the sale. Close it. Hand over the keys, sign the deed, your house is sold. Now, I would hope that this whole process would be just this easy, right? I mean, even Kevin in your credit industry, it's never really as easy as you say it when you stand up here. Everybody's situation is unique to them. So just remember, so-and-so tells you, well, when I bought my, thank you, but your situation is definitely going to be different. But these are just key points that we want to keep in mind when we have a property that we want to sell. So we're going to do a little review. So the first one is to find a reputable agent. My personal favorite, Genuine Property Solutions Real Estate. That's just my personal favorite. Get a professional appraisal. If you want to get an appraisal or get comparables or something of that sort, your real estate agent will advise you, because it might be you don't need an appraisal. You might just need to know what the comparables in the area are. Can anybody remember the third one? I'll help you. Set a fair listing price. Start with something. Come up with something that you feel is fair. Now, it doesn't mean that it's extra stone. No, you might have to change. So let's do our next one. Make the necessary repairs. Does that mean that we have to go and start building our house all up again? No, we don't. We can declutter, deep clean, and try to find ways to increase the house value. Then we want to stage our home. Does that mean go out to Raymore and pay? I'm gonna say, I have a way that I always say, I have a way that I call that story. So we'll just say, let's just take their name out for a second and just say, when I go to a store, a furniture store, and fill a house up with all this expensive furniture, no. But I am gonna find ways to make the house more attractive to the majority. And then we're gonna find ways to market your home. I mean, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's a sign, something as simple as a sign, that's a form of marketing. And we're gonna also use other forms of, whether it's an open house, you know, whatever form of methods that we need, it's like layers. There's different layers of marketing, like a onion. You know, some houses you don't have to do nothing. Everybody rush to it. If the condition of the house is right, and it's in the right neighborhood. And our last three, we negotiate. Don't ever talk to the buyer and seller. Do they ever talk to each other?
No.
No. Complete all of our paperwork, and we close the sale, and we now have sold our house. So, on behalf of Kevin and myself, if there are there any other questions before we highlight our next event? Oh, wow. Great. That just means that we're really thorough. Our next event will be on June 9th, and we're going to be discussing collections. To do about those collection accounts. And how can you get rid of them? You don't want to keep them, do you? We're going to also talk about whether you should buy a house or rent a house, which has their advantages. The nice thing is next month we're going to have a guest speaker, a mortgage lender company that's going to talk about some first-time home buyer programs. So we hope to see you back here, same login information. And at this time, we'd like to conclude our session of credit and real estate today, and we'll see you